Before Oxford, before Harvard, before Cambridge, there was a university where students traveled thousands of kilometers just for a chance to enter. A place where knowledge was guarded like treasure. A place so vast that when it burned for months. This is the story of Nalanda. In the 5th century CE, while much of the world was fragmented and politically unstable, something extraordinary was rising in the Indian subcontinent. Under the Gupta Empire, in present-day Bihar, a grand institution was established. Its name was Nalanda. Nalanda was not merely a monastery. It was not just a school. It was the world's first great residential international university. At its peak, Nalanda housed more than 10,000 students and around 2,000 teachers. Scholars traveled from China, Korea, Tibet, Persia, and Southeast Asia. In an age without airplanes, without modern roads, without global communication, students crossed deserts, mountains, and forests just to study here. One of the most famous students of Nalanda was the Chinese monk Huanzang. In the 7th century, he journeyed from China to India in search of deeper philosophical knowledge. He studied at Nalanda for years. When he returned home, he carried hundreds of manuscripts with him. His writings describe Nalanda as vast, disciplined, intellectually rigorous, and globally respected. Admission to Nalanda was not easy. At the entrance gates, scholars conducted oral examinations. Only a small percentage were allowed in. Nalanda did not seek popularity, it sought excellence. And what was taught there went beyond religion. Nalanda offered education in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, logic, grammar, philosophy, architecture. It was a complete academic ecosystem, and at its heart stood something extraordinary: its library. Historical accounts describe 3 great library buildings. One of them is believed to have been 9 stories tall. Inside were thousands of handwritten manuscripts, texts on science, medicine, mathematics, metaphysics, linguistics, and philosophy. Every manuscript was written by hand. Each book represented months, sometimes years of effort. To lose a single manuscript meant losing irreplaceable knowledge. Now, imagine losing thousands. For centuries, Nalanda flourished. But by the 12th century CE, the political landscape of northern India had changed. The region was fragmented. The powerful empires that once protected institutions like Nalanda had weakened. In 1193 CE, a Turkic military commander named Bakhtiyar Khilji entered Bihar during his expansion campaigns under the Delhi Sultanate. His objective was territorial conquest. Speed, surprise, and psychological dominance were part of his military strategy. Historical sources suggest that large monastic and institutional complexes were often targeted because they were wealthy, symbolically powerful, and politically significant. Some Persian chronicles indicate that major centers of non-Islamic scholarship were attacked as part of broader campaigns of control. Other historians argue that the destruction may have been opportunistic. Nalanda was large, unfortified, and vulnerable. What is certain is this: Nalanda was attacked. The monks were killed, the buildings were destroyed, and the great library was set on fire. Some later accounts claim the fire burned for months. Whether literal or symbolic, the scale of destruction was immense. Centuries of scholarship disappeared into smoke and ash. Nalanda was never restored to its former glory. Without sustained political patronage, it slowly faded. Over time, it was buried, forgotten. While Europe later built its great universities, few remembered that centuries earlier, India had already created one of the most advanced centers of learning in the world. Nalanda represented something rare: knowledge without borders. Students were there not for wealth, not for power, but for learning. Its destruction was not just the fall of a university, it was a reminder that knowledge is fragile in times of political upheaval. Civilizations rise, empires fall, but when knowledge burns, the loss echoes across generations. Today, the ruins of Nalanda remain in Bihar: silent bricks, broken walls, open courtyards where debates once shaped minds. They remind us that civilizations are remembered not only for the wars they fight, but for the ideas they preserve. Nalanda was burned, but its idea survived. The idea that education can define a civilization. And sometimes, history does not disappear. It waits, waiting for someone to remember.